You're listening
You're listening
to another episode
of the Fresh Takes
podcast.
Happy New Year's and welcome to another episode of the Fresh Takes podcast. I am your host, Tim, alongside my two favorite co-hosts, Tank and Pat. And we are glad to be back after, a 2-week hiatus?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Happy
the old,
holidays. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year.
Yeah.
It's
The old
playoff
holiday
season,
break.
boys.
I say it is officially playoff time. And
Come back from break and get to talk playoffs. How nice.
saying
Right.
let's all give a prayer out to my team for not making the playoffs. But both of yours did.
We'll get into that later.
Yeah.
But we're going to change some things up. We're not going to actually cover the games that happened last week because some of the games didn't really matter. Backups were playing, so there's no point in really covering it. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to jump into Tank's catch for his very last one of the regular season. So take it away, Tank.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, what is up? What is up? This is That Catch, though. I have 3 nominations that I'm going to be going over with, and then I will tell you who the winner is. The first one is none other than Brian Robinson from the Washington Commanders. Here's the video.
Powell running, throwing, caught, touchdown.
And here's number 2 video. Comes from none other than the New York Giants, Xavier McKinney.
Hurts loads it up, taking a deep shot. Terrific defensive.
Number 3 comes from none other than the New Orleans Saints, Chris Olave. Here's the video.
Carr looking deep, and it is juggled and caught. Touchdown!
And can I get a drum roll, please, for the winner? The winner is Chris Olave from the New Orleans Saints.
Dang, I thought this was going to be the one week that the Giants finally went. Actually, no, the Giants did win once with you.
Yes.
And
Honestly,
wasn't it Xavier McKinney too?
Yeah, I'm almost positive it was him.
I think
Okay.
it was.
You know what? You got to be. I don't want to say this as say y'all should be proud, but y'all should be proud because I did not. Each week, I did not nominate a Dallas Cowboys catch. Only nominated, I think, one or twice, and they only won it one time. Heck, Philadelphia got nominated I don't know how many times, and they won twice,
Like
3.
4.
Well, I mean, A.J. Brown had a midseason stretch of being pretty dominant, but that faded pretty quickly.
Yeah.
So what? Okay, real quick, what's your thoughts about that, Pat? I mean, do you feel he is being a little crybaby, or do you think he actually legit has a problem that could explode and he not be back next season?
It shouldn't explode. I think they should take all the signs and just fire their offensive coordinator and bring in a new. Obviously, the players they have around them are good enough to produce. They did it last year. Minimal changes, some slight tweaks on the line, but the whole team, yeah, the play calling's been pretty terrible. Execution hasn't been great, so the players have a little bit on the players too. They're the ones that go out and play.
Right.
But it's a predictable offense. There's no exciting big flash plays down the field. They went away from running too much early in the season. They couldn't reestablish it later in the season.
Okay.
Just a lot of flaws, but I think the team can be, on the up and up for another 2-3 years. Have a good window still, but play calling and defense has to change drastically.
I think what's
Now,
going
do
to
you
hurt
think-
you guys in the long run is what Smith and Brown's contracts end at the same time. Goddard's contract ends around that time. You're probably losing Kelsey this year. There's a big possibility you lose Cox and Graham this year.
Yeah.
Like
You
this
think
was your
Kelsey's
guys'
gonna be
make
done
or
this
break
year?
year.
You think
What was
Kelsey's
that thing?
done this year? You think Kelsey's done this year?
I think Kelsey's out.
Yeah, it's hard to tell. I mean, I know he loves playing, and I don't think he'd want to go out like this, but also, like, I think he was sold on retiring last year had they won the Super Bowl, and then he just kind of wanted to come back to try. But I don't know. It's iffy.
I think the
I think
biggest
one
thing
more
is
year.
his injury this year. You know, he had the ankle injury that he still played through, but then what was it? He had that neck injury at one point too. So, you know,
Yeah.
I think the injuries are catching up to him, and he's said it in his documentary that the injuries he doesn't want to keep getting because then he can't play with his kids when they're young.
No, I agree with
So
that
I say
statement.
I think he's gonna probably call it quits after this year.
No, I think he'll come back one more year, and fully call it quits. I think this will be. I think he'll give it like tease it that he's going to retire kind of thing, and then not retire next season.
I think it all
Well, the
depends
good
on how they
news
go in
is,
playoffs. If they're a one and
yeah,
done in playoffs and they lose to Tampa, then he's coming back.
the good news is, at least on the defensive side, we're locked in with Bradbury and Slay for a couple more years. That's gone great this year.
Yeah, and it's looking like Shaq Leonard made the wrong choice of teams.
Well, yeah, I don't know. I was hoping Matty P would bring some spice, but
Oh well.
anything but that.
I say I don't know how about Patricia and all that, but all right, we're gonna jump into it. We're gonna take a look back at our playoff brackets from the beginning of the year before we even had a game started. So I guess we'll go ahead and we'll take it person by person. So I'll go first, and we'll discuss and talk this over. So my number one was Kansas City. So yeah, my number one team was Kansas City, who is what, the number three team.
Yes, they're three with eleven
So
six record.
yeah, that was a drastic change there, and I think I gave Kansas City like a 14-3 record this year. All right. Next up, number two, which I got spot on, was Buffalo. Buffalo did come in at the number two seed. So next up is the one that kind of hurts me the most. Number three, I had Jacksonville, which, if you guys do recall, I had Jacksonville going all the way to the Super Bowl and winning it this year. So we all know that's not going to happen. Uh, Next up, number four, I had the Bengals, which I mean, if Joe Burrow doesn't get hurt, it's kind of promising that they could have done
Yeah.
it. I don't know about win the division, but and then next up, I had my wild card teams, which this is where it's gonna get really heavy and hurtful. Number five, I had the Jets, which if Aaron Rodgers doesn't go down the first play of the year, that's very possible that the
Yeah,
Jets could have
yeah.
made it.
Yeah.
Number six, this is the one that I'm not proud to say that I had, but number six was the Chargers, who had probably one of the worst seasons ever. And then at number seven, who is actually the number one seed, I had the Baltimore Ravens.
Yeah. Hey, at least you had him making it. I didn't.
So I had three teams that actually ended up making it, and only one team that was spot on in the AFC. So then we go over here to the NFC, and this was another one that's kind of bad. I had the Eagles at the number one seed, which did not happen. I had the Seahawks at the number two seed, and the Seahawks didn't even make it. I had the Vikings at the number three seed, and the Vikings did not make it. And I said the Vikings were going to the Super Bowl. Number four, I had the Saints, who also did not make it. Number five, I had the number one seed, 49ers. Number six, I had the Lions, who are the number three seed.
Yeah.
And then, unfortunately, squeaking in, I had number seven, the New York Giants. So out of that, I had three correct as well, but none of them were spot on. But I had it Jaguars Vikings in the Super Bowl with the Jaguars coming out on top. So we can officially say that none of my picks are going to be correct.
Mm, well,
And yet they voted you as the best podcast host.
I'm a good host. I'm not a good analyst.
Woo!
Mhm.
Look, I don't want to say anything because whoever wants to go next, their number one for AFC
Uh,
both is pretty bad.
well, Tim, I'll go next since I, do this on my phone. I'll have to use your voice to kind of do my seedings, though. I do remember I had Pittsburgh, Philadelphia Super Bowl, which
Yes,
is still possible. So
very
I'm happy
possible.
there. But I also still remember I had the Carolina Panthers winning their division.
Yes, you had
Uh,
Panthers at the number 4 seed.
yeah. Eagles won,
Yep.
most likely. Who did I have it to? That probably would have been the Niners or Seahawks.
You had the Seahawks.
Yeah. 3, I had Detroit.
Yeah, which is spot on.
Yeah, look at that. 5 would have been, oh boy. I know I had the Giants. Giants probably
Yeah, it
at
was
5.
Giants at number 5.
Uh, yeah, don't remember the others.
You had San Fran at number 6.
Okay.
And then I think the biggest shock out of all of them, you had Washington at number 7.
Yeah, that's right. That's
So
right.
you're telling me
did.
I had the Panthers, Commanders, and Giants.
So you
Yeeks.
also had 3 correct with 1 spot on in the NFC. Now, do you
Okay.
remember any of your AFC?
Oh gosh, no. I know I had the Chargers making it, the Jags making it, Pittsburgh, Cleveland. Don't remember what orders though.
All right, you had Kansas City as the number 1 seed. You had Jacksonville as the number 2 seed.
Dumb.
Cleveland as the 3 seed.
Smart.
Buffalo as the 4 seed.
Smart.
Pittsburgh as 5.
Oh, I'm a genius.
Tennessee at 6.
I'm an idiot.
And then you also had the Chargers at 7.
Oh God, fire me now.
So,
Oh.
yeah, you then had an Eagles versus Steelers Super Bowl, which, like you said, is still possible.
Oh, it's happening. I can feel it.
Oh. So I guess
So,
it's my turn.
it is now your
Yeah,
turn.
So I had, we'll go to the AFC side. I had Jaguars at the number 1 seed with a 13-4 record. And that was
Yeah.
that's a no-go. My number 2 seed though, I had the Buffalo Bills, which is spot on, but I said they were going to go 13-4 and they were 11-6. My number 3 seed for the AFC, I said the Bengals, which of course they're not there. The 4 seed, I had the Chiefs at a 12-5 record, and they finished with 11-6. So I was kind of close
So you're
there.
close on that one.
I had the Ravens at the 5 seed with a 12-5 record, and they were a 13-4 record. So another pretty close. Titans at number 6, and Chargers at 7. So I had 3 correct with 1 spot on.
It's crazy that your 5th seed had a 12-5 record when the number 1 seed in the AFC this year was 13-4.
I know, right?
yeah.
Say you were
Hey, well,
boosting them.
my 5 seed Giants were predicted 12-5, I think. So,
Yeah.
all right. Sorry, Ted. Go ahead.
All right. So I had at the number 1 seed, I had a 14-3, the Philadelphia Eagles at number 1 seed. They finished 11-6. Number 2, I had the 49ers at a 14-3 seed or 14-3 record. I had the number 3 seed was the Lions, which was 11-6, but they finished 12-5. But I got it in the right spot.
Well, you were spot on with 3.
Number 4, I had the Falcons, but that didn't happen.
It's
I
crazy
had-
that all of us picked all of a different team except for the actual winner.
Right. So here you want to see this part. You ready? If you go back and watch the video, I called the 5 seed the Dallas Cowboys, which they're actually 2 seed. But if you go back and watch that video and listen to it, I called their record 12-5, and what did they finish at?
I don't know,
12-5.
Well,
I called that record. I had the 6 seed. I had Seahawks at 11-6, and then I had the Giants at 7 seed with a 10-7 record.
See, so then if you look at it,
man,
we both,
it's
all three of us had the Giants in and they didn't make it. We all had the Chargers in and they didn't make it.
Yep.
We all had the Seahawks in and they didn't make it. Wow. We all had
and the
Jacksonville.
Jags.
Jacksonville
Yeah.
didn't make it. Who would
Yep.
have thought Texans?
Yeah, now didn't you say you picked the Jags or not Jags, the Bengals or no? No, you didn't.
Yeah,
I
you
don't know.
picked
That's right.
Cleveland.
That's right.
No, because you guys had that debate that Cleveland would win the division, and Pat said the Ravens were going to be the worst in the division.
Well, listen, the Ravens are good, but they're nothing like the Cowboys. All right, the Cowboys are great. All right.
You know, it's funny to think, though, even though the Bengals didn't make it, every single person in the AFC North had a winning record this year.
Yeah, like what was it last season? They NFC was they called the NFC East Beast. This year that division for the AFC was a beast.
Well, they
That
did
was
better than the NFC because the Commanders were terrible last year.
Yeah.
I think they went like
Yeah.
6-11.
so. But I had the Jags and Eagles in the Super Bowl with Jaguars winning. Well, I screwed that up.
Yeah, so it looks like the only person who could still potentially get spot on is Pat.
Well, we can only hope so.
I don't hope so.
All right, now we're going to take it down to your favorite corresponder for his very last regular season. Have a day. So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we have 3 nominees like we always do. This running back, which from the Peanut Gallery, you guys can guess who they are afterwards if you'd like.
Okay, good, because I like that.
But this running back had 14 carries, 111 yards, 1 touchdown, and 1 receiving touchdown for 6 yards, which his team went on to win that game. This receiver had 12 catches, 192 yards, and 1 touchdown, which that team actually lost that game. And your winner, because I got to sprinkle in some love, this safety had 2 tackles, 3 pass deflections, and 2 interceptions on back-to-back drives. Xavier McKinney, have a day. I had to give some love for the Giants one time.
I'm trying to think of the wide receiver.
Do you guys have a guess on both?
I didn't even pay attention to any type of stats this weekend. So I didn't even know someone had 12 catches for almost 200 yards.
Can you give me AFC or NFC?
Running back is AFC, receiver is NFC.
So running back's AFC. I don't know. I can't even remember who played this weekend. So I'm not going to even guess.
All right.
Who were the?
They both were teams that it didn't matter if they won, they weren't making playoffs, and they played backups.
Yeah.
Bijan Robinson. No.
Here,
Jalen Warren.
I'll break it down even more. They're both from the North.
The North. KJ Osborne.
Right team, wrong player.
Was it Jetta?
It was Jay Jettas.
Okay, makes sense. Makes sense that he finished over 1,000, man. I get it.
I can't think of the running back.
Yeah, I don't know.
From the North.
Jerome Ford.
No. It was the team they played against.
Oh. Wait, did they play Joe Mixon?
Yep.
No, I was going to say
Joe
Nixon.
Mixon.
Huh?
I think Joe Mixon had some incentives he had to get.
Okay.
Hey, by the way, speaking of incentives, did you see how was it? I think it was Jadeveon Clowney
Hmm.
was dancing on the field when he got that sack.
Well, when Chris Jones got his sack, all the players like rushed him.
Dude,
Yeah.
I think that's awesome when you know that you can get that incentive and the whole team, supports it. Like honestly, when oh manager on McLaurin, I think it was, needed like 13 yards to hit over 1,000 yards. Um, as a Cowboys fan, I said just let him have it. Let him have the 13 yards. I mean, it's not.
Well, the 49ers were like triple covering Puka Nakua so he couldn't break the record.
Yeah, and he still broke both records, didn't they?
Yeah.
Yeah. That didn't help
Which,
much.
speaking of catching, did you know that this is the first year in the last 7 years Travis Kelce does not have 1,000-yard season?
Really?
Travis was short 16 yards. He finished with
Wow.
984 yards.
If I
Wow.
was that close, I'd be pissed.
And
Yeah,
I
I
don't
would
even
too.
think they played him.
No, he said. He said.
Yeah.
Dude, just
Um,
one
did you
20-yard screen.
right? Did you see that Christian McCaffrey finished with 2020 yeah, 2023 yards wearing the jersey 23?
Oh, no.
Yeah, he's the first player to ever finish with that many yards that represents the same year that it happened in, which was 2023.
You know what's crazy to think is that a lot of these people who have incentives and they just don't play them. Like the whole Travis Kelce thing. Why wouldn't you put Travis in? It's
I mean, just
16
play him for the
yards.
first quarter. Yeah. Play him
I
for the
was,
first quarter. Let him sit the rest.
Well,
exactly.
even if he had 1,000 yard incentive, like I'm sure he's done it so often that he didn't really care, and he's just thinking we got to think about the playoffs because our team has not been playing great. Like I don't care.
But I mean, you still also get the playing time in so that you're not sitting a whole week of not playing.
For real.
Hey, they're used to sitting the whole week and not
Oh,
playing.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I still would have just gave him just like a drive to try and get it.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. It's a nice kind of like Mike Evans, like 10 straight years. It's just a nice thing to hold on to, I think.
Oh, I agree.
And then the other thing is Tyreek Hill did not break the record once again. Another player so close but doesn't do it.
How much did he finish with?
1,799.
I mean,
And
you can't be
CD was
mad at.
right behind him with 1,749, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you can't be mad at Hill. I mean, he had
Oh, I
injury.
know. He also tried to ball out against the Bills, and they were just on him. He
Yeah,
also
so
didn't really do good against Dallas. Didn't put up that many yards. Didn't put up a whole lot of yards against Baltimore. You know, the last 4 or 5 weeks, he kind of just went downhill.
yeah.
But
No
all
pun intended,
right,
right? With his
all
name.
right, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to jump in our now playoff brackets, which everybody's could look different. So seating may also look different depending on who you pick who would win. So we're going to go over the picks for this week. So then you guys will also get a preview of our picks early. So in the AFC for the Saturday showdown, I have the Browns on top of the Texans.
We all jumping in.
Yeah, just everybody can just jump
Yeah,
in.
okay. Yep, yep. I will take the Browns there.
Yeah, I have the Browns.
All right. After that, the Chiefs versus the Dolphins. I have the Dolphins.
I have Dolphins.
All right. So we're all the same. Okay, cool.
And then last one, Buffalo versus Pittsburgh. I have Buffalo.
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 Pat
What?
wins the Super Bowl.
Well,
What?
listen. The Super Bowl prediction can happen, but I'm not picking it to happen at this moment.
All right, we're gonna jump over to the NFC side. We have the Eagles versus the Buccaneers, and I have the Eagles.
Eagles.
Buccaneers.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah, that Eagles team's garbage. The Buccaneers will score at least 31, and there's no way the Eagles offense can match that
Yeah,
right now.
but the Buccaneers just put up 9 against the Panthers in
That
a make or
the
break game for them.
the Panthers have a good pass defense. The Eagles do not.
I don't know. All right, Lions versus Rams. I have the Lions.
Lions.
What, yeah, I put the Lions there.
Say, I was torn. I was really debating on Rams, but I was like, I think the Lions can do it since it's home.
I
And
hope that's
then,
a good game with the
yeah.
hype around it.
And then last up, we have the Cowboys versus the Packers. I have the Cowboys.
You will be. I mean, the Cowboys are great. It's hard to pick against them. The Cowboys are great. Uh, Cowboys are great at choking in the playoffs to the Packers. Cowboys are great at having great regular season expectations and then failing. See how I got away with that one?
Say, you hit your 5.
All right. All right.
Yeah, you gotta applaud the effort there by me. No, I picked the Cowboys here. I think they will beat the Packers.
I have the Cowboys also.
So
Yeah.
then everybody should have the same for the AFC. So then it would be Ravens versus Dolphins, which I have the Ravens.
See, I have Ravens versus Dolphins. I have Ravens winning.
Yeah, Ravens win.
And then Bills versus Browns. I have the Browns.
I have the Browns also.
I have the Bills.
Well, then on the NFC side, I don't know how Pat's would work since he picked the Bucks. I think his would be Cowboys versus Bucks, but I have no, it would be Bucks versus Niners. But Niners versus Eagles for Tank and I have the Niners.
I have the Niners.
And I have the Niners over the Bucks.
And then Cowboys versus Lions. I have the Cowboys.
I have the Cowboys also.
And I have the Lions.
Okay. So then in the AFC, I have Tank and I should have Ravens versus Browns, which I have the Ravens on top.
Ravens on top.
And Pat, you should have Ravens Bills.
And I have the Bills.
You have the Bills on top. Wow.
Wow.
All right. And then Tank and I should have Niners and Cowboys, while Pat should have Niners and Lions, which Tank's going to like to hear this because I have Cowboys on top. I have a Baltimore Ravens versus Dallas Cowboys Super Bowl.
Ew.
What do you got, Pat?
I got the Lions over the Niners. And got a Lions Bills Super Bowl.
So I have the Cowboys winning against 49ers, getting the redemption, making it to the Super Bowl, putting Ravens versus Cowboys in the Super Bowl, which are my two favorite teams. So I'd be split.
With that being said, I have the Ravens on top.
Ravens on top, winning the Super Bowl.
And Pat, you're the one with a different Super Bowl.
I have the Detroit Lions winning the Super Bowl.
Okay.
I would like your bracket because that's two teams that have never won a Super Bowl. So
Yeah, I'd love to see that matchup. I'd be content either way.
all right, now let me ask you this. You get a super victory on anybody that you want. Who's your matchup for the Super Bowl?
What do you mean?
Like you could have one team in the AFC and one team in the NFC automatically win and it puts them in the Super Bowl. So you get to pick the Super Bowl. I'm going Lions versus Dolphins. I would like to see that. So basically, what's your ideal Super Bowl that probably won't happen, but you want to happen?
You want to go, Pat?
Yeah. So, like, out of the collection of everything that's ever happened in the NFL, plus the narratives this year, mostly by them being historically bad franchises, the Lions versus Browns would just be amazing to see because, like, they've been garbage my whole childhood and growing up. So that'd be awesome.
I'd like to see Flacco get another one.
Yeah.
Agreed. So, with that being said, Pat, you and I actually are thinking alike. 'Cause I would love to see a Browns versus Lions Super Bowl, but I don't know who I'd really want to win on it. I that Super
Lions.
Bowl, I don't know.
You just get to watch at that point and enjoy it.
That's what I'm saying.
That's the best part.
If
I
that would
know.
actually happen, if that would legit happen, I would be upset. Of course, the Cowboys aren't in it, but I'd be so happy that two teams that nobody would have ever thought of were in the Super Bowl. So I would sit there and enjoy it 100%.
Out of mine, I would choose the Lions on top of the Dolphins.
Although, I will say, if it did happen, I would want the Browns to win because I could look both of you in the eyes. And when you ridiculed me about 4 months ago about how bad my prediction about the Browns being good was.
No, I
Look,
didn't
who thought that
ridicule you.
superstar Joe Flacco would turn that team around?
Yeah, not only that, but what I'm saying is I didn't ridicule whatever that word is, you per se of how good they were. I was saying that they were not good enough to win their division.
Yeah, you did say that, but who could have accounted for the Ravens being as good as they are?
Which, here's the one thing. If the Browns do make the Super Bowl, there's like a 25% chance that Nick Chubb would be eligible to play.
Could you imagine?
Wow.
Oh, that would be great. That'd be wonderful.
I wouldn't test it, though.
I wouldn't
No,
test
no,
it
no.
either. That's
But-
like when Aaron Rodgers said that if they would make the playoffs, he would try to come back and play the playoffs. It's like
Yeah.
I wouldn't test that. I'd take the healing part.
Say, it'd be interesting to see it.